Hey everybody, good morning. So lesson 6-4 was two-step equations, and I got some questions. Remember, the first thing that I'm going to say is when you ask me a question, I want to help you. I'm going to help you, but try not to just say, I don't get it. Okay? Try and be specific. Ask me, Mr. Donegan, I'm doing number 8 and I don't know how to get started. Or I'm doing number 3 and I forget how to get rid of a fraction. Give me a specific problem and a specific step. It could be the first step. It could be, I don't know how to get started. Do I do the subtraction? Do I do the division? What do I do first? Okay. But the more specific your question is, the quicker you're going to get the answer you want, and the quicker you'll be able to move on. So try and phrase your questions in a way that lets me dive right in and answer it right away, so that way I can help you. Now, I had a student specifically send me a message and ask about numbers 11 and 12. So I'm going to go through 11 and 12. If we look here, number 11 was 2p plus 14 equals 0. So a lot of you have mental math skills, and those can help you. Looking at this, what do we know about p before we do any work at all? You should be thinking, well, we know p has to be a negative. We know p has to be a negative because if p was a positive number, there's no way that I could do 2 multiplied by a positive number plus 14 and end up at 0. Okay? And mathematically, you just can't get there. So p has to be a negative. Now, let's think about undoing the operations by using the inverse. The two things that I see on the side with my variable, remember, you always want to be hyper focused on where's the variable. The variable is on the left. It's being multiplied by 2 and added by 14. So you want to undo those operations in the reverse order. So you're going to undo the addition first. So I'm going to put a minus 14 or a negative 14 underneath both sides. So on the left side, positive 14 and negative 14 equals 0. So they cancel out. Now, 0 minus 14 is just going to give me a negative 14. So now what I have is I bring down the 2p equals negative 14. And now it's a one step. How do you undo multiplying by 2? Divide by 2. And do it to both sides. On the left, I've isolated the variable because 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1p can just be written as p. So I isolated the variable. And negative 14 divided by 2, well, 14 divided by 2 is 7. And since they have different signs, I would get a negative 7. And what I like is because we took a minute at the beginning to think about this problem, we also know our answer makes sense. We knew it had to be a negative. And if we substituted it back in, 2 times negative 7 plus 14 would equal 0. And some people asked about the check steps. I'm going to do a separate video for check steps, so be sure to watch that one also after this one. Okay, problem number 12. Problem number 12 had a fraction in it. But what was tricky was the fraction wasn't the coefficient. It was still a whole number coefficient. So 3y plus 2/5 equals negative 1/5. So again, undo the adding or subtracting first. Okay, you get to do the easy step first. So you undo a positive 2/5 with its opposite, a negative 2/5. And I have to keep my equation balanced. Whatever I did on the left side, I have to do to the right side. So I'm going to put minus 2/5 on this side also. On the left side, positive 2/5 and negative 2/5 equals 0. They cancel each other out, and this allows me to bring down the 3y. Now, if we take a look on the right side, I have two negatives. So if they're both negative, they're on the same team. Negative 1/5, negative 2/5. I add them up, and I have a total of negative 3/5. Now, I have to undo multiplying by 3. We know I want to get a just one y at the bottom. So to undo multiplying by 3, I'm going to divide by 3. And this step is actually tricky because it's a fraction divided by a whole number. If you remember from earlier in the year, the way you would set that up is you would set it up as -3/5 divided by 3 over 1, and then you multiply by the reciprocal, and it becomes multiplied by 1/3. Okay? The 3's cross simplify out into 1's, and then I have -1/5 times -1, so it's -1/5. Okay? This is going to be a lesson that we do for 2 days. So you're going to continue with your classwork and do the second page, problems 13 through 24. Please watch the second video after this because it's going to help you. I'm going to do a problem from the classwork, and I'm actually going to show you how to do check steps.